Okay. It is Tuesday, March 25th. Yesterday was Cam Ward's Pro Day. We'll discuss that. Deion Sanders had comments on Shedeur's future. We'll get into that. And finally, our NL Central preview starts today. This is the Early Game Podcast. Listen to the show in the mornings on your commute, whenever and wherever, so you can be a part of today's sports conversations. Let's go. Okay. So, as I said, yesterday was the long-anticipated Pro Day for the probably at this point consensus number one overall pick, Cam Ward. And the overall reviews of this Pro Day were that they were positive. He looked good. Now, I'll say from my perspective, I think anyone can look good in a Pro Day, especially as a simpleton like me. I can look at some nice fadeaway throws. Nothing really. Every Pro Day looks good to me. It's hard to not impress me. If you miss those, when I get those videos of the wide open throws that are missed, those kind of sound the alarm a little bit for me. But basically, you put on a Pro Day, you are controlling the environment. You are deciding everything that happens for that day, for that tryout. And so every Pro Day looks good to me. So I couldn't care less what Cam Ward looks like here. He wasn't going to sway me one way or the other. That being said, there were teams that clearly had to see more. And the one team that was making sure that this was their guy was the Tennessee Titans. And speaking on the Tennessee Titans at the Pro Day yesterday, Cam Ward had this to say: "I'll just continue to talk with them, but let them get to know me and let me get to know them. But at the end of the day, it's just about playing football. I think Coach Callahan is one of the best head coaches out there, and the things he did with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati when Joe first got to the league helped Joe be really successful, and I just think that the playbooks match up with what we did in Miami, not only for the Titans, but also with Cleveland and in New York with the Giants. All three of these teams like to do the same things we did in Miami, so I think it would be a plug and play." Look, we're getting close now. Now that free agency is set and we know kind of what the quarterback situations are in these three places. So we know what the quarterback situations are for the Titans. We know what the quarterback situation is for the Browns. And we know what the quarterback situation is for the Giants. And most notably, the Titans with the first overall pick have a wide open spot there for their quarterback. Now, for Brian Callahan, if he decides to take Cam Ward, this is going to be the ship he is building before going out to sea. And if the ship is not built well enough, he is going down with it. This is his shot. This is Brian Callahan's shot. If he drafts Cam Ward, he can't just give up after 1 year. So he's going to have to ride him out for the next couple of years. And if this doesn't work with Cam Ward, it doesn't work with Brian Callahan. So Brian Callahan needs to decide now. Is Cam Ward the guy, the quarterback he wants to move forward with here? If he wants to be with the Titans long term, is he confident that Cam Ward can help him succeed with the Tennessee Titans? I see so many people saying that Cam Ward would be the 6th, the 7th best quarterback in last year's draft. That's all fine. It doesn't make such a difference to me. Brian Callahan needs to decide, this is the body of work of this player, and I can or cannot find success with him. That's all that matters. Doesn't matter how good he is relative to last year. Is Cam Ward the kind of quarterback Brian Callahan is confident he can have success with? Simple as that. It's really not so complicated. It doesn't make a difference where he ranks. It doesn't make a difference how weak the class is. Can Brian Callahan find success with Cam Ward? And that's the question Brian Callahan needs to grapple with for the next couple weeks. And speaking of quarterback prospects, we had a comment from Deion Sanders regarding Shedeur Sanders. When asked where he wants to see Shedeur play next year, he said, "Let's hope it's New York." Sanders said, presumably meaning the New York Giants. That was from Fox Sports, a Fox Sports article. I don't think it's such a presumption that that's the Giants. I still am not going to rule out the Jets having Justin Fields and drafting Shedeur Sanders. I'm not going to rule that totally out. Is it more likely that it's going to be the Giants? Absolutely. Absolutely. But having I'm not going to rule out the Jets possibly rostering Justin Fields and drafting Shedeur Sanders. And so, but that being said, it is more likely that the Giants will draft Shedeur after signing Jameis Winston. And let me tell you this about how I feel about Deion and how he weighed in here. Deion Sanders is is a all-time athlete. He is creating a great coaching resume, first with Jackson State, now with Colorado. But he needs to be careful. Deion does not want to be the next LeVar Ball. And that's the kind of vibe I am getting from these kinds of comments that Deion is making about Shedeur's future. He needs to, frankly, stay out of it. Do not get too over-involved in Shedeur's future, too over-involved in the teams that he's going to play for. And probably the first red flag that we should have seen was when Deion said the only way he's going to coach in the NFL is if it's for his children. It's nice. It's a nice sentiment. But ultimately, that is a bad stage to set for yourself and to set for your son and for your children in general. If you want your kids to be playing in the NFL, do not threaten teams that you are going to be on their case. You might force your way to be their head coach. And so we'll see. I think that, frankly, if it's the Giants, so say the Giants draft Shedeur, and now we spoke about this yesterday, but we have Daboll and Shane who are a ticking time bomb, right? They could be fired at any second, and probably, frankly, just based on the situation at hand, should have been fired. But then you have Shedeur getting drafted to the Giants and Deion lurking. There might be a ulterior motive here for Deion when he says that he wants Shedeur to the Giants. Imagine this. The Giants, this situation is not so far-fetched, underperform in 2025. Daboll and Shane are out. And all of a sudden, the New York Giants have Shedeur Sanders on their roster and an open head coach position. In New York, you're telling me Deion Sanders is not going to be the head coach after Brian Daboll? So it seems like the table is being set here for Shedeur forcing his way to the Giants now, and then next offseason, there being a wide open spot for Deion, and for then him inevitably to bring his other son Shiloh with him. So the New York Giants might be turning into the prime Giants by 2026. And you can decide for yourself how you feel about that. I wouldn't be so shocked if there are people that would be thrilled to see that happen. I just think it gets tricky. It gets tricky when you have a dynamic like that. And so if you want If the fact that Deion is getting so involved is a red flag, right? If you would say that Deion getting too involved is a red flag, then the red flags have been thrown. But that being said, I could see where people would not be turned off by this. Let me know in the comments what you think about this potential future with Shedeur, Deion leading the New York Giants. Okay, let's move on here. We have two more baseball previews to get to, division previews. And it is crazy to me, that opening day is just 2 days away. It's Tuesday, opening day is Thursday. That offseason flew. Spring training, as always, flew. But now we have the NL Central to preview. And the NL Central is always one of the most fascinating divisions to me, especially in recent memory. And it's because teams don't... It's another one of those divisions. For some reason, both Central divisions, they don't do a lot. But yet there always seems to be a lingering team in the playoffs that is from the Central Division. The NL Central, at least. Let's start off with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And they are coming off a season where they had Paul Skeens make his debut, and he looked sensational. But ultimately, they were unable to have much success. They went 76-86. They were last place in the National League Central. Another one of those teams who did not make really any significant additions. They added Tommy Pham. They added Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. But besides for that, especially to their lineup, nothing really going there. The lineup looks like Andrew McCutchen, Brian Reynolds, O'Neill Cruz, Joey Bart, Brian Hayes, Nick Gonzalez, DJ Stewart, Tommy Pham, and the aforementioned IKF. It's another one of those lineups with solid players. So a nice 1 through 3. McCutchen, Reynolds, O'Neill Cruz. O'Neill Cruz is a stud. And then the lineup kind of just has a solid flow the rest of the way. Tommy Pham in your 8th spot is not horrible. IKF batting 9th is not just an easy out. So we are talking about a team that improved on the back end of its lineup, has a solid front end of the lineup, and just another one of those solid lineups. I'll kill the Pirates for not making such significant upgrades, but this is another one of those teams with a solid lineup. And speaking of solid lineups, they have a very solid rotation as well. Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, so you're starting off with a fantastic 1-2 punch. Andrew Heaney as the number 3, another nice move. I like that Andrew Heaney move. Bailey Falter, number 4. And Carmen Mlodzinski as the number 5. And they, of course, have David Bednar as their closer. So look, another year of... It's going to be another year of solid starting pitching for the Pittsburgh Pirates. A solid lineup and a solid rotation. And Skeens is going to be... And Skeens is who they are leaning on here. Skeens is going to be their ace. He is He is one of the, if not the best pitchers in baseball. And Mitch Keller is not too shabby at number 2. So I like this Pirates team to be better than a 76-win team in 2025. Okay, let's move on here to the Cincinnati Reds. And it's another one of those teams that is relying on a youth movement here. They did make some changes to their team, in which that I really like. So let's just run through the lineup. TJ Friedel in center field, batting first. Matt McLean batting second. Ellie De La Cruz at shortstop. He's their best player, and he is just a stud of a player. So he bats third. Austin Hayes bats fourth. They brought him in. He was on the Phillies last year. Gavin Lux, that was the big trade they had with the Dodgers. He bats fifth. Christian Encarnacion Strand at first base, batting sixth. Heimer Candelario at DH. Jake Fraley in right field, and Jose Trevino, the former Yankee, catching. This is a solid lineup. I really like what the Reds did this offseason to improve this lineup. adding Gavin Lux, Jose Trevino behind the plate. They have that youth movement, Austin Hayes. So really just adding, again, this was another team who really added around the margins, but a little bit more than that. Gavin Lux is more than just a marginal move. So they made some nice significant moves here for the lineup. And very similar to the Pirates, it is a lineup which you can't just overlook when you're facing them. And not just can't overlook, I think it's better than just not overlooking. I think this is one of the better lineups in the National League. Moving on to the rotation, Hunter Green, who's fantastic, Brady Singer, Nick Martinez, Nick Lodalo, and Carson Spears. Okay, so this has the rotation has what to be desired. Hunter Green is fantastic, Brady Singer's good, but then it kind of falls off after that. So what the Reds will be this year is can they hit, and can their rotation be good enough? Okay, let's move on here to the Chicago Cubs. And this is, to me, the most improved team in the National League Central, and they might be the most improved team in all of baseball this offseason. They won 83 games last year, so the lineup looks like this: Ian Happ, Kyle Tucker, Seiya Suzuki, Michael Busch, Matt Shaw, Dansby Swanson, Pete Crow Armstrong, Nico Horner, and Miguel Amaya. So the big addition here is Kyle Tucker, who, I think is one of the most underrated players in baseball. A stud of an outfielder. They traded for him from the Houston Astros. And he slots right in that number 2. And he is a prolific hitter. One of the best hitters in baseball. And they add him, they stick him right in the middle of that lineup. And they get rid of Cody Bellinger, but they replace him with Kyle Tucker. Now, I said this at the time. I would have loved to have seen them keep Bellinger with Tucker. It was very disheartening to me that they traded Bellinger after trading for Tucker, because I think they could have kept both and they would have been so good having both on their roster. But that's besides the point. This is another above average lineup. Matt Shaw is their third base prospect. He's supposed to be one of the best prospects in baseball. Dansby Swanson batting 6th. So you have a deep lineup here and a very, very solid lineup. Seiya Suzuki, not too shabby. Another one of those lineups that just kind of 1 through 9, no easy out. And above that, there are tough outs. Very tough outs. Moving on here to the rotation. Justin Steele, Jameson Taillon, Shota Imanaga, Matt Boyd, and Ben Brown. So this is honestly, I think, again, another one of the most underrated units in baseball. Justin Steele, fantastic. Shota Imanaga, fantastic. Taillon is solid. Boyd, solid. Ben Brown, solid. This is going to be going to be from last year. So they won 83 games last year. I think this is going to be the most improved team in baseball from last season to this year. And they also have Ryan Presley, who they traded also from the Astros. And we'll get to predictions, but you will see this is who I think is the most improved team in baseball this season. Okay, moving on here to the Cardinals. And juxtaposing the most improved team, I think it's the worst. This was the worst offseason, I think, in all of baseball. So the Cardinals were an 83-win team last year. Paul Goldschmidt left for the Yankees. There were a ton of rumors about them trading Nolan Arenado, but they decide not to, and their lineup looks like this. Lars Nootbaar leading off, Wilson Contreras batting 2nd, Brendan Donovan batting 3rd, Nolan Arenado batting 4th, Alec Burleson batting 5th, Ivan Herrera batting 6th, Jordan Walker in right field batting 7th, Victor Scott in center field batting 8th, and Mason Wynn at shortstop batting 9th. I mean, what are they doing here? This is the same lineup that brought them 83 wins last year, minus Paul Goldschmidt. They had a golden opportunity to trade Nolan Arenado. They don't take it. Get something back. His value is only going to go down. His trade value will only go down from here. The Cardinals were such a well-respected organization, but the stories that come out about them, it is so crazy to me how low they've come. People saying that it's a badly run organization, former players saying that they don't want to come to spring training to be guest instructors. There was an article like that, making no improvements this past offseason. This lineup has what to be desired. I mean, Alec Burleson's your number 5 hitter. Like, what are we doing here? An 83-win team. And this is just embarrassing for a team, for an organization that has long been so historic and synonymous with great baseball. And let's be real about the rotation here. Sonny Gray, Andre Pallante, Eric Fed, Steve Matz, and Miles Mikolas. I mean, sheesh, Sonny Gray is your ace. And then I'm not even sure what we're doing after that. When Steven Matz is your number 4 pitcher, things have to be reconsidered. And again, we'll get to predictions at the end of this. I have, yesterday when we were talking about the NL East, I thought that a lot of what happened last year will happen again this year. But I think that this division, the NL Central, I think, will have a big shakeup in terms of who does what. Finally, the winners of the NL Central, they got knocked out in the wild card round by my New York Mets last year, and that is the Milwaukee Brewers. Another team that is pretty much running back a similar team to last year, lineup-wise. Jackson Chourio batting leadoff, William Contreras batting second, Christian Yelich batting third. Remember, he was injured at the back end of last year, so they get him back. Rhys Hoskins batting fourth, Joey Ortiz batting fifth, Eric Haas batting sixth, Sal Frelick batting seventh, Vinny Capra batting eighth, and Bryce Terang batting ninth. And again, they're running back a lineup that was able to get it done for them last year, that won them 93 games last year. So no problems there. And if anything, they get Christian Yelich back. So they're adding, hopefully, a healthy Christian Yelich to what was a productive lineup for them last year that was able to produce at a level to win them 93 games. Now, they had issues in that wild card round, scoring runs. But the way that these teams prepare, this is how they want it to be done. Get them to the playoffs, anything can happen. Now, the issue for this team is that right now, they literally have 3 starting pitchers ready to go opening day. So Freddie Peralta is their 1, Nestor Cortez is their 2, Aaron Civale is their number 3. That's it. They signed Jose Quintana. He's not going to be ready. Tobias Myers, Aaron Ashby, and DL Hall all went down with injuries in the spring. Brandon Woodruff and Robert Gasser need more time for rehab. So they're going to have to figure out how to string it together here in the beginning of the season. It is not going to be so simple for them. They have 3 starting pitchers. 3. And you see why having great pitching depth matters in Major League Baseball. Okay. So as I said, I think this division is what gets the biggest shake-up from last year. Last year, the Brewers won. I don't think that they're going to necessarily take such a step back. I don't think that they're going to win 93 games. I think the pitching is going to be an issue for them. I think that the lineup for a team that was very reliant on pitching last year, I don't think gets the same type of pitching this year. So I think they're more like an 85-win team this year. I think, as I said, the Cubs take the biggest step forward. I think they win the division. I think that the Pirates take a step forward. The Reds take a step forward. They'll be middle of the pack. So the Brewers probably get the 2 seed in the division, let's say, the second best record in the division. Pirates, Reds improve from last year, and I think that the Cardinals finish in dead last in the NL Central and continue to free fall as an organization. And I think Nolan Arenado gets traded at the Major League Baseball trade deadline. But I think that it is the year of the Chicago Cubs. They added Kyle Tucker. They added Ryan Pressly. And I think this is the year that they win the NL Central once again. Okay. That's a show. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Follow on X, follow on Spotify. This is the Early Game Podcast. Have a wonderful day.